Unmasking the untruthful. How to tell if someone's lying. Just about everyone you know tells little white lies or low-stakes lies, but some people even go so far as to lie about important matters that could forever change their relationships, end their employment, or even send them to jail. Detecting high-stakes liars is the work of police forces all over the world, and they frequently look to facial expressions, body language, and verbal indicators as signals or tells that someone is lying. Being able to read facial expressions to detect lies can be beneficial even if you're not conducting criminal investigations. You may want to simply improve your poker game or suspect that someone at home or at work is acting a little suspiciously. Whatever the reason, in this video we're going to look through some science-based techniques that will help you identify a lie and also cover facial expressions and reactions to look out for. Let's start with some observable behaviors you can identify when talking to someone who you think may be lying. Firstly, their answers to questions may be much shorter. If you ask a liar a question, they'll often give you a shorter, more bare-bones response than someone who's telling the truth. In a small 2012 study, participants were trained to recognize lies using the assessment criteria indicative of deception, ACID method, which suggests that truthful answers tend to be longer and more vivid than lies. However, answer length isn't always a hard and fast rule. The length of an answer does not tell us much unless we know the person and how verbose they usually are. This is because people differ vastly in how much they talk, whether lying or truth-telling. But encouraging someone to talk more may help you determine if they're lying. A liar is more likely to reveal themselves in a longer story, while an honest person may provide evidence that what they're saying is true. For example, if someone is telling you about their day, encouraging them to say more may lead to a slip-up, like saying they went to a store even though it's actually closed that day. Do they avoid giving specific details? Liars may be less inclined to include what we call verifiable details. Verifiable details are details that can definitively prove their story is true or false, including exact times of events, names of specific locations, names of the people they encountered, their exact route to a place, or the specific words they used in a conversation. It's normal to forget some information, especially if you're asking about something that happened further in the past. But if the person you're talking to seems to be intentionally vague or deflects any questions about details, this might be a sign that they're lying. It's also possible that they may fidget less. Most people expect a liar to be fidgety, but in some cases they may actually move less than truth-tellers. This is likely for two key reasons. Firstly, people are usually unaware of how much they move, but when you lie, you may be more aware of your body language. For this reason, liars may try harder to control themselves and avoid making fidgety movements. Lying may require you to think harder than truth-telling because you need to remember the lie, avoid telling the truth, and invent details as needed. This intense concentration may keep your body more still, as all energy goes to the brain. Another thing to look out for is that they don't look away while thinking. People often expect that liars will avoid eye contact during a conversation, but this is not always the case. If anything, liars are more likely to attempt to hold gaze, even if they don't keep it up. People who are telling the truth will often look away while they're thinking about the answer to a question, likely as a way to help them concentrate. In contrast, liars may avoid looking away because they're more aware of their own eye contact and whether or not they seem dishonest. People who are telling the truth are not working as hard to look good. Liars may also keep their eyes on you to see how you're responding to their story and whether or not you believe them. Do they repeat the question before answering? If you ask a liar a question, they're more likely to repeat that question back to you before they answer, while truth-tellers are less likely to do this. This may be because they haven't thought of their lie yet, or need to invent a new detail in their story. Repeating the question before answering may give them time to consider what it is you're asking and come up with a believable story. A very important thing to look out for is if they start out talking slowly, then speed up. When a liar answers a question, they will often start out with a longer pause and tell their story slowly. Talking more slowly can give them time to come up with a narrative or invent details as they're going. They may also use this extra time to watch your reaction as they speak, so they can adjust what they're saying based on how you respond. Once the liar has a clear sense of their story, they will often suddenly speed up their pace of talking. This may be because they think speaking too slowly will seem suspicious, so they speak faster as soon as they're able. This transition from slow to fast can happen in as little as one sentence. People telling the truth are less likely to show these dramatic changes in talking speed. Do they repeat the same exact story each time? If you ask someone to repeat their story, honest people have a memory enhancement effect from the additional recall attempt. This means that when retelling a true story, people will often add new details that they didn't include the first time. Liars do not want to contradict themselves or do anything that calls their statement into question, so they're less likely to add on details to a story like where exactly they were standing or what they were thinking. Liars attempt to tell the same story, in the same order, each time. The acid method from the previously mentioned study holds that deceptive answers tend to be more rigid, carefully phrased, and less likely to change with retelling. Now we're going to look at specific physical movements to help spot a liar. Learn and remember these if you want to improve your poker game. To start, it's important to understand how the person in question normally acts. It's best to observe someone for a while as you make small talk or ask innocuous questions in order to see what their usual reactions are, including tics they may have. Then if they exhibit several lying indicators when you ask more pointed or suggestive questions, and these are not ones they previously performed, you can be confident that they're likely lying. Here are some of the facial expressions worth looking out for. Eyes darting back and forth. This is a physiological reaction to someone feeling uncomfortable or trapped by your questions that they don't want to answer. It's a throwback to when people had to seek an escape route when they feared they were in a dangerous situation, such as facing a human or animal adversary. Rapid blinking. A person will ordinarily blink about 5 or 6 times a minute, or once every 10 or 12 seconds. When stressed, for instance, when someone knows that the person is lying, they may blink 5 or 6 times in rapid succession. Exceptions to the usual blink rate mostly have to do with production of dopamine in the body. For example, a person with Parkinson's disease will have a noticeably slower blink rate than what is usual, while a person with schizophrenia will blink more rapidly than normal. Closing eyes for more than 1 second at a time. When a person closes their eyes for a second or two, this may indicate they've lied to you, since this is a type of defense mechanism. Normally, a person will blink at a speed of 100 to 400 milliseconds, or 0.10 to 0.40 of a second. Looking up to the right. When you ask a normal right-handed person about something they're supposed to have seen, if they look upward and to the left, they're truly accessing their memory of the incident. However, if they look upward and to the right, they're accessing the imagination and possibly inventing an answer. Bear in mind that left-handed people will usually have just the opposite reactions, and some people will stare straight ahead when trying to recall a visual memory. Looking directly to the right. If you ask about what a person heard, their eyes will shift toward their left ear to recollect the sound they heard. But if the eyes shift toward the right, they're most likely about to tell a lie. Looking down to the right, your eyes will shift downward, and to the left if you're going to tell a memory of a smell or touch or sensation, such as a cold draft or a terrible odor. But your eyes will shift down and to his right if you're going to lie. Bunched skin beneath and wrinkles beside the eyes. When people genuinely smile, the skin around their eyes will bunch and wrinkle. Face touching. A chemical reaction causes people's faces to itch when they lie. Pursed lips. A person's mouth will often go dry as they're lying. They may do a sucking motion, pursing their lips, to try to overcome this. When their lips are so tightened that they appear pinched and white, this can indicate lying. Excessive sweating. Sweat may appear on the forehead, cheeks, or back of the neck, and you'll likely observe the person try to wipe it away. Blushing. Blushing is an involuntary reflex caused by sympathetic nervous system. This activates your fight or flight response, and is a response to the release of adrenaline. Head shaking. Often when people tell the truth, they will nod their head simultaneously in agreement with what they're saying. But if they shake their heads in disagreement with what they've said, their bodies are betraying their lie. Finally, trust your gut. It often senses dishonesty even before conscious thought does. And remember that all relationships are built on trust and love. So if you feel someone may be lying to you, it's always best to start with an open conversation in a safe space, so you can find out and talk through your issues together. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and subscribe for more interesting insights, facts, stories, and trivia. Enjoy your day and see you next time.